welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name's Crystal and today we're going to be going through all of my eyeshadow palettes and ranking them from worst to best. So this is in my experience of using these on multiple occasions. There are no eyeshadows that I'm going to talk about today that I have not used on a regular basis, if not on myself or on clients. So if you do like this video, do not forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe, and also go and head over to my social medias. I will have them on the screen for you guys to check out, and go and follow me over there as well. I'm super active at the moment, so it'd be great to have your support over there as well. And I hope you are all keeping well, and without further ado, let's just get straight into the video. So realistically speaking, my least favorite palette, basically just because I do not use it and it is a limited edition palette, is the Alice Through the Looking Glass palette. Now I actually don't know why I bought into the hype of this. I'm not a super huge fan of the Alice in Wonderland series, but it's big and bulky and the palette itself slides out to the bottom. It's really thick, as you can see. It takes up so much room in my collection, but the reason I hold on to it is because some of these shades are so unique that I haven't seen them anywhere else in any other palette. Like this blue is so unique, as is this orange, as is this teal. So I just can't seem to let go of it, although it really irritates me, and that is why it is my least favorite eyeshadow palette. Next up is going to have to be the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye palette. This was purchased back when the brand was associated with Kat Von D. I don't really know exactly what happened, but I know that in the beauty community we have been boycotting her brand. It's now not affiliated with her, it's KVD Beauty. Or Vegan Beauty, I'm pretty sure, but this was purchased when she was associated with the brand. I had a phase where I really liked her products, and I was sold on this because Jaclyn Hill was raving about it forever. I don't know, I just never picked it up. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just very basic, very neutral. The pigmentation on this can be almost too pigmented to a point where I'm just like, it's not blending at all. Like where you put the color down, if you don't put it exactly where you want it, that color's not moving. So it can be a bit stressful from that perspective if you are a beginner, because I did purchase this as a beginner thinking it would be good to start my collection with this, but it kind of made it a bit hard to do, and I couldn't do my makeup quickly. And at the time when I purchased it, the job that I was doing, I had to move between the gym and my job really quickly in between, and I just didn't have time to be fiddling around with this, so I just never really picked it up, and it ended up at the back of my collection and I just never reached for it, and that is why it is at the worst end of my eyeshadow palette collection. The next one is the MAC Warm Neutrals palette. So I've had this for a while as well. I got this when I was in America. Another reason that this one is in my bottom end is because there actually isn't that much versatility with the shades in here. You can only really create one look, and that's it, and you've only got one matte shade in this entire, no, you've got two matte shades in this entire thing, and it's this one here, which is Saddle, which is absolutely stunning, by the way. Like that's the reason why I won't let go of this palette, is because Saddle's in there, and then this deeper shade here. The rest of them are all shimmers or satins. These two are awfully similar in color. Like you can't really do much with it, honestly. They do have some real cult classics in here. Like I said, there's Saddle, there's Amber Light, there's Honey Lust. There are some really great shades, and here's some staple shades if you're starting out. You could use this for the everyday, but again, you're only ever going to come out with one look. You can't really move that around at all. If you are starting out in makeup, this is a really good place to start. However, if you have been developing your kit and you have quite a few palettes and stuff already, I would honestly give this one a miss. Next is one by Too Faced. So this is the Sweet Peach palette. Now I got so excited when this was released. I saw Danny Mansuti talking about this on her channel when it was first being released, and oh my god, I was that girl who was standing in the queue first thing in the morning at the front of Mecca to pick up this palette, and I didn't care how much it was going to cost me. I was going to own this palette no matter what. It smells delicious, like it's so nice, but again, I just don't feel like you can get that much out of this. I'm not really drawn to pinky toned eyeshadows. I never really have been. I'm more drawn to neutrals, like brown neutrals or grey neutrals. Pinks just don't really do it for me. So yeah, there are some really beautiful shades in here. So there's Puree and Summer Yum, and I absolutely adore those. And I also really love the shade here, which is called Nectar. It's this beautiful gold shade, but I don't know, as a whole it looks great when you look at it in the pan. It's one of those palettes where you're just like, oh my god, it looks amazing. But like, I don't know, I just don't really reach for it, so I just don't really think it's that important in my collection, and that's why it's at the worst end. So the next palette in my collection that I'm ranking is a Morphe palette. This is the 35R palette. So it's, look, it's a nice palette. It blends well. It's just when you look at this, a lot of the shades look the same. And again, you're only ever going to really be able to create a limited amount of looks. So this is something that sits in my makeup kit just because I know that brides tend to gear towards warm, neutral sort of looks. And this palette does exactly what they're looking for. They love the golds in the lid, they love the earthy browns in the crease, and then they like to have the depthening shades on the outside. And literally they have everything in these rows that you need to create the generic bridal makeup look, and that's why it's a great investment from that perspective. And you get so many shades, like it's incredible what you get in here. And some of the highlights in here, this shade just here, I don't think they have names, no they don't. This shade just here is such an incredible inner corner highlight, like it's beautiful. I do recommend this palette if you are getting started out in makeup, but I just feel like the quality of these shadows is kind of like, they're good, but unless you are using one of these big palettes and it's something that you need on the daily basis in terms of you're happy to lug this around everywhere with you, then it's worth it. But otherwise, I don't know, I've ranked this further down my collection list because it's just so big. A lot of the shades are very similar, and I feel like this is more kind of like an artist palette. So, or if you're a passionate collector, I mean, totally whatever works for you, but I don't know, it's not really my jam. Next up is the Tartist Pro palette. Now this has been around for a while. I have debated whether I was going to get rid of this on a couple of occasions. The reason why I can't say I'm a fan of this palette is because of the shimmer shades. I just don't think that they're really anything to write home about. The matte shades are really nice. There's a beautiful array of shades in there. Some that are very similar, but I mean, that doesn't matter. If they're shades that I'm going to reach for, I don't really care. But I just don't think they blend as well as I would hope they would. So I've had a couple of Tarte palettes and I have gotten rid of them over time, and this is one that I have kept consistently. I don't know, their blendability is just not there for me, so that's probably why this one's a little bit lower down on my ranking as well, is because it just doesn't perform in terms of what I expect from my eyeshadow palettes. It's still good, don't get me wrong, all of these palettes are good that I'm talking about. I like all of them. Otherwise, I wouldn't own them. This is just where it sits in terms of the ranking. So next is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. It just looks like this. Everyone has seen this. I mean, I've stood on mine. Mine has a huge like foot dent in it. This is currently in my project pan. I have not used it like at all since we've gone in isolation. I was making some real traction with this. And then because we stopped really going anywhere, I only ever put makeup on to do my YouTube. It's just gone nowhere. So I am going to do an updated project pan soon, but realistically it'll be so disappointing. But this I've had forever. It's got some reliable shades in it, but at the same time, like, what the hell, like, who's going to use this shade? Like, realistically, I don't know. But I've just ranked it kind of in the mid-range in terms of my collection. I don't think I'll get rid of it. I do want to use it up, but it's getting old. It's time for it to kind of think about leaving my collection by the end of this year. So next up is another Morphe palette. It is the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette. Now I got this recently. I think I got this in February, or I can't quite remember, but I was so excited to get my hands on this. But the reality is they don't blend as nicely as I would have hoped. I do understand that colourful eyeshadows are harder to press and they're harder to work with than neutral shades. Like, I totally get that, but I did kind of expect more from this because I thought the formula was going to be pretty much identical to the original formula, which I love. Like, I think that is so great. So I just don't feel like this delivers the same way. Like, she said that it was the same formula, but I don't know if it really is. But I do still love it. I do still think it's a great palette. Something to put your money into if you're starting to get into colours, because you get such an array of colours and really, really beautiful ones as well. It's just, for me, I know that I've got other eyeshadows that I prefer over these. Next up is some Huda Beauty. I gotta say, I'm a real sucker for Huda Beauty stuff. It just kind of speaks to my soul. I love her. I think she's so beautiful. But this is the Desert Dusk palette. Now this was my first Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette purchase, I'm pretty sure. So this is what it looks like on the inside. Absolutely stunning. You've got some purples in there, you've got lots of different textures. So you've got glitters, you've got shimmers, you've got mattes. There isn't really any satins in there, but they do look absolutely beautiful. Now this is something that you could dive into on an everyday, but you could also create some really poppin' looks with it too. So that's probably why I was so drawn to this particular eyeshadow palette in the first place. I don't have her original one. I did prefer this one over her original rose gold. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called, the rose gold. I did prefer this one because it had a bit more in terms of actual golden shimmers. So like I loved this shade here, Celestial. I loved Neferetti, I loved Twilight. I just think that this middle row is what really sold it for me. So I do love it. I just don't use it enough. I feel like, I don't know, there's really no reason as to why this is kind of sitting mid-range in my collection, but I just don't reach for it. I think that that's really kind of my fault more than anything else. But so next up is a drugstore palette. This is the Makeup Revolution Soph X Extra Spice palette. Now the packaging on this is really cool. I love the reflective packaging on this. So this is what it looks like on the inside. It's super colorful. This red is probably the best red I've ever used ever. Like, so good. My favorite by far. And then it's got some other really beautiful shades in there too, like this beautiful plum shade. This yellow is really nice too, but this shade right here, it's, I'm not quite sure if you guys can see without blinding you, it's like this frosted blue kind of color. It's absolutely stunning. I have a picture on my Instagram of me using this palette to do a rainbow look. I will have it linked in the description box below for you guys to go and check me out over there. But it is literally the first picture I ever uploaded to my Instagram was using this palette, and I was blown away. Every single time I pick up this palette, I'm always pleasantly surprised. So I have to say that for the money, I'm pretty sure I paid like £10 for this, which is like 20 Australian dollars. So cheap. You can get Makeup Revolution in Australia now, which is fantastic. I really need to go down there and purchase some more stuff from them because they have actually really impressed me since I purchased stuff from them, and they're really inexpensive as well. So I love this palette. I think this is great. It's a really great investment, and you should definitely try out some stuff from Makeup Revolution. And next up is another Huda Beauty palette. This is probably my most recent purchase from her, and it is the Mercury Retrograde palette. Now this ranks a little bit higher than my Desert Dust palette just because I know there's something about it. I can't explain it. There's something about this palette that sucks me in every single time. It's not the most wearable palette, but at the same time it totally is. Like, I don't know how to describe it to you guys, but like this mint, oh my god, look at this palette. I just think it's so beautiful. Like, the whole marketing on this is great. Like the shades that are in the palette, the shades that are on the outside of the palette, like the back, the front, the whole, she just does such a good job. The next palette is my Inglot palette. I made this one myself. It's got heaps of warm tone shades in here, and it's also got some beautiful highlight shades. I got this to have in my kit just for my brides. I just know that Inglot is such a reliable brand in terms of their products across the board. So when I was in England, I wanted to make this because Inglot is a lot more accessible over in England than it is in Australia, and this is the finished product and I love it. I think Inglot is so underrated. People in Australia really need to get behind Inglot because they're phenomenal. Okay, I'm gonna do the rest of these like real quick fire because I feel like I'm talking for too long. So the next one is the Colourpop Give It To Me Straight. I love this. I think it's really great. Like for the price, you can't go wrong with this. Beautiful everyday shades. You can go for brown neutral looks. You can go for plum kind of looks. This is just a really great everyday kind of palette, and I honestly couldn't recommend it enough for the price point. Next up, I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. Now, I can't remember if this is limited edition or not. I feel like you can still get it. They marketed it as being limited edition, so I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But I love the packaging on this. I love the shades in this. It's very cool tone, so if you're a cool tone girl, this is probably gonna be like your favorite palette ever because it is so pretty. Like the shade Pearl in here is my favorite lid shade for bridesmaids. Every single time it looks fantastic. I don't think I've seen a single person that pearl doesn't look beautiful on. And also rose quartz. I think they look absolutely fantastic. And if you're a cool tone girl, you definitely need to look into this palette, because the quality of Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes, you just can't go wrong with them. I mean, I need to get more. No, I don't need to get more, but like, I love them. So next up is the Huda Beauty Nude Medium palette. Now this is one of her 9-pan palettes. Is it 9? Yeah, her 9-pan palettes. Now this is so cute. I don't know what it is. People say that the consistency of her formula is different in her 9-pan than it is in her bigger ones. I don't really see much of a difference, to be honest, but I mean, I love this palette. I think it's absolutely stunning for the everyday. If I want to make a look to go to work in that I know it's going to be reliable, it's going to be appropriate for the workplace, because I work in a corporate environment outside of doing my makeup, this is the palette that I reach for, just because I know no matter what I do, it's going to come out perfect every single time, and I can be as messy as I want. I don't have to watch my blending. I don't have to do anything particularly tricky, and it's going to look fantastic. So if you haven't had a chance to try the nude range from Huda Beauty in the 9-pan, I think they're about $58 retail. If you're starting out in makeup and you want to get into Huda Beauty and all that sort of stuff, definitely look at this one first, because I think it is really worth the money. So the next palette I have here, you cannot get anymore, and that kills me, but I have to mention it. It is the Carly Bible palette that she made with BH Cosmetics. This is my only BH Cosmetics palette, and oh, I want more. Like, I bought this forever ago when I was in America. It's probably expired. Yeah, it's pretty much expired. The quality of these shadows is so good. Like, BH Cosmetics is not expensive at all. So if you're on a budget and you're looking to develop your kit, definitely look at BH Cosmetics, because the quality of their shadows is so good for what you pay. You honestly can't go wrong. So I was blown away by this palette. I love it. Every single time I pick it up and use it, I am in love with the makeup look that I have. So I definitely think this was worth the money, and that's why it is in my top end of my rankings. So the next palette is probably not a shock to you guys. It is the Amrezy Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I love this palette. I think it is so worth the money. It is limited edition. Get onto it whilst you can. This shade Leo is it's incredible. Like, the pigmentation on this blue is off the charts. Again, I have a look using this shade on my Instagram. I will have my Instagram handle in the description box below for you guys to go and check me out, and I will also pop the image on the screen so you guys can see what it looked like. It was a very colorful look, but the star of the show was definitely Leo, so have a look at that. A lot of my looks at the moment that I'm kind of geared towards are colorful, and I feel like this palette started it all with that shade Leo. Honestly, this palette is just beautiful. It's so nice. You get 2 extra shades in this versus the other Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes, so it's worth having a look into. And again, like I said, it's limited edition, and I mean, look at this packaging. So pretty. Definitely worth it. I love this. Love so much. Cannot live without this palette. Okay, so we are now in my top 3 palettes. Oh my gosh, we're nearly at the end, thank goodness. So this one is the Huda Beauty New Nudes. I love this palette. I think this is so worth the money. I use this on brides, I use this on bridesmaids, and I think it is more or less the shade range that you get in here, and then it's also her pearlized formula. It's just so beautiful, and it's so creamy, and it blends out really well, and it looks good on everyone. Like, I really haven't seen anyone who can't wear these eyeshadows, so I guess you just get a really good bang for your buck in that sense. But the shadows themselves just perform really well. I think she did really well with the color story on this palette, and the formulation is incredible. I can't say I love that there's a concealer in there. That kind of really annoys me a little bit, but I mean, it's such a minor thing to have to deal with versus the quality of the shadows themselves that I really don't mind. So my second top ranked eyeshadow palette out of my entire collection is by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it is the Soft Glam palette. Now, I think every man and his dog has this palette. I mean, it's so popular, it's so reliable, especially makeup artists die over it because of the warm tones and the reliability of the shadows. Yes, there's a bit of kickback. Yes, that therefore means there's going to be a little bit of fallout, but I do still think that they are so stunning. Their quality and reliability is definitely up there with the best. And if you're starting out in makeup, I'm actually going to do a video on this. Like I've done a minimalist capsule makeup collection video. I have that in the description box below for you guys to go and watch. But I think what I'm going to do is the ultimate starter kit for a makeup artist. So I have got my kit. I've done a video of my kit on my channel. I will again have that either in the description box below, or I'll have it up in the cards for you guys to go and check out up here. That's probably a bit extensive in terms of a kit. Like there's a lot of stuff in there, but I will be doing a condensed version of one for you guys with shade ranges, types and tones, both in terms of the bases and the eyeshadows that I recommend you guys should purchase. If you are getting started in makeup as a makeup artist, this will be in there for sure, because it's just so reliable and you can do so much with it. So that is why it is in my top 2, because it's just so good. I mean, everybody knows this is such a good palette, so I mean, don't sleep on it. This is my #1 eyeshadow palette that I think is the best out of my entire collection. It's ranked the best for a reason, and it is the Jaclyn Hill Original palette. I mean, I'm sure you guys could have guessed that this is what my favorite was going to be, or my #1 ranked was going to be. I mean, this palette is everything. Like, it's got everything you could need in there. It's got the best inner corner highlights. The inner corner highlight that I have on today is the shade Beam from this palette. It's the best that I've seen since Vanilla from MAC, the pigment. This is so good. It's like a pressed version of that. This is one of the best transition shades ever. It's a beautiful mustard. Any kind of tone of look that you want to make, this palette is the best to go for. Her formula is incredible. Now, I know that there was a formula change recently by Morphe that people have been a little bit upset about. This is the formula before that change, and that's kind of why I'm savoring this. So I can't really speak to that new formula, but this one, if you do manage to get your hands on it, is so beautiful. I definitely think it's worth the money starting out in makeup or just a makeup enthusiast. This is the way to go. Trust me. Okay guys, so that is the end of this video. That was me ranking all of my eyeshadow palettes from worst to best. I'm sure you guys could have guessed which ones were going to be my best. I rave about them all the time. So if you like this video, let me know in the comments below, and I will be sure to rank other parts of my collection for you guys, because I'm sure you guys would like to know what my favorite bronzers are, what my favorite highlighters are, or lipsticks. So I'm happy to totally do that for you guys as well. Give this video a thumbs up or let me know in the comments below, and I will definitely do that for you guys. But that's pretty much everything from me. Do not forget to subscribe before you leave and give this video a big thumbs up. Also, turn on those notification bells so you don't miss any of my uploads. I'm currently uploading every Wednesday and every Saturday at 9 AM. So don't forget to be ready for those videos to come out, and check me out over on Instagram as well. And that is everything from me, and I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks guys. Bye.